The three men aboard the Japanese whaling vessel are sailing into an uncertain legal and diplomatic future. Donald Rothwell, a professor of international law at the Australian National University, says it could be many weeks before the stoush is over.
Well, there's no question at all that Japanese law does apply on board the Shannon Maru 2, and of course Peter Bethune, the New Zealand Sea Shepherd activist, was charged with various offences under Japanese law after boarding the Shannon Maru 2 in 2010. So that's not really in question. I guess there's the potential for a bit of a legal tug-of-war between Australia and Japan, but that would only arise if Australia was able to also mount various charges against these three activists.
So what charges are these men likely to face, and just how serious are they?
Well, in terms of Japanese law, at a minimum, it would appear that the act of trespass on the Japanese whaling vessel has been committed. That was the basic charge upon which Bethune ultimately pleaded guilty in 2010. But beyond that, I'm finding it difficult to see what other charges could possibly be brought. There doesn't appear to have been any act of violence. There doesn't appear to have been any property damage. There might be other incidental charges, but on the facts as they're known at the moment, trespass would seem to be the basic charge.
Do you think it's possible that these men could remain on board for months until the end of the whaling season?
Most certainly, and I think the reason for that is that the Japanese Institute for Cetacean Research will be very keen to ensure that their whaling operations are not disrupted by this particular incident. And that's fairly self-evident at the moment. The Shannon Maru 2, as far as we know, has returned to the Southern Ocean, is heading back to rejoin the remainder of the Japanese whaling fleet. For the Shannon Maru 2 to divert to Japan to offload these three activists would clearly be exceptionally disruptive and effectively remove it from the Japanese whaling operation this season. So I think we could be faced with a number of weeks, if not months, before these Australians actually reach Japan, if that's the case, and ultimately face a Japanese court.
Of course, Australia is trying to end whaling through the International Court of Justice. When are we going to see some action there?
Well, there has been action occurring, but it's really been behind the scenes. Australia submitted its written memorials to the court in 2011. The Japanese memorial is expected in March of this year. We'll then probably see another series of behind-the-scenes manoeuvring in terms of legal documents being presented to the court, and it may not be until about 2014 that there's actually a hearing before the court at this stage.
Professor Donald Rothwell from the Australian National University, thank you.
You're welcome.